morning, everyone. I'll call the April 6th McLeod County Board meeting to order. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Consideration of agenda items. Any additions or corrections?
Mr. Chair, if I could add item C under my slot at 9:45, the discussion regarding tax court order on JD 17 and 18.
Move to approve with the additions.
Motion's been made to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Agenda is approved. Now this morning we have start with a couple of proclamations. I'll start with one. The first one. Whereas the nation's 3,069 counties serving more than 300 million Americans provide essential services to create healthy, safe, and vibrant communities, and whereas counties provide health services, administer justice, keep communities safe, foster economic opportunities, and much more. Whereas McLeod County and all counties take pride in the responsibility to protect and enhance the health, well-being, and safety of our residents in effective and cost-effective ways, and whereas under the leadership of National Association of Counties President Gary Moore, NACO is demonstrating how counties matter, especially in supporting residences and businesses during the coronavirus pandemic. Whereas each year since 1991, the National Association of Counties has encouraged counties across the country to evaluate awareness of county responsibilities, programs, and services. Now whereas it be resolved that I, Doug Kruger, Board Chair, do hereby proclaim April 2021 as National County Government Month and encourage all county officials, employees, schools, and residents to participate in any county government celebration activities. Thank you. And Barrett will do the second proclamation. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. This week is National Public Health Week. So whereas the week of April 5th through 11th, 2021 is National Public Health Week, and the theme is Building Bridges to Better Health. And whereas since 1995, the American Public Health Association, through its sponsorship of National Public Health Week, has educated the public, policymakers, and public health professionals about issues important to improving the public's health. And whereas the U.S. life expectancy dropped from 2014 to 2017 in the longest sustained decline since the Great Recession, and only in 2018 began to increase again. Further studies consistently show the United States has lower life expectancy than comparable countries. And whereas there is a significant difference in health status, such as obesity, poor mental health, and drug usage, among people living in rural areas compared with people living in urban areas, and this variance increases because rural residents are often more likely to face social determinants that negatively impact health, such as poverty, transportation barriers, and lack of economic opportunity. And whereas public health professionals help communities prevent, prepare for, withstand, and recover from the impact of a full range of health threats, including disease outbreaks such as the COVID-19 pandemic, measles, natural disasters, and disasters caused by human activity. And whereas public health action, together with scientific and technological advances, has played a major role in reducing and in some cases eliminating the spread of infectious disease, and in establishing today's disease surveillance and control systems. And whereas 6 in 10 U.S. adults have a chronic disease and 4 in 10 have 2 or more, and health risks such as alcoholism, obesity, tobacco use are the primary reasons for 7 out of every 10 deaths annually in the United States. Whereas the COVID-19 pandemic has illuminated and exacerbated racial inequities, and a growing number of local, state governments, and public health leaders have declared racism a public health crisis. Now, therefore, I, Barrett Spores, on behalf of Chair Kruger and the rest of the McLeod County Board Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the week of April 5th through 11th, 2021 as National Public Health Week 2021, and call upon the people of McLeod County to observe this week by helping our families, friends, neighbors, and coworkers and leaders to better understand the value of public health and supporting great opportunities to adopt preventative lifestyle habits in light of this year's theme, Building Bridges to Better Health.
Thank you, excellent job.
Thank you.
Happy Public Health Week. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Any corrections or additions to it? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion's made by Commissioner Wright to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Nago. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Agenda is approved. Payment of the bills. And I had the amount here. And it is missing.
Look on the front there.
Liz, do you have the amount again? I had it here and it is missing. I got it. Thank you. Commissioner warrants are $27,725.
Move to approve.
Motion's been made to approve the commissioner warrants.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Lewis. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Warrants are approved. COVID-19, Barrett.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
As of late yesterday afternoon, McLeod County has had a total of 3,722 positive cases of COVID-19. At our last board meeting, which was 3 weeks ago, we had 3,495. So that is an increase of 227 in the last 3 weeks. We currently have 105 active cases in the county and have unfortunately had 54 COVID-19 related deaths. Continue to check the dashboard on our website for more statistics. Shout out to the GIS department with the county. They're doing an excellent job of helping us get that posted weekly. Public Health continues to hold vaccination clinics for COVID-19. To date, we have held 28 vaccination clinics. We have one going on currently. We have administered 3,860 first doses and 1,471 second doses, for a total of 5,331 doses administered. We are vaccinating on a regular basis. We're moving to a Thursday, Friday model where we have vaccination clinics on Thursdays and Fridays. We continue to immunize for impact. We want it to be equitable to people that are eligible in McLeod County. And as you know, the governor has opened it up to everyone 16 and older. For us, that means 18 and older because we have the Moderna vaccination, and that is not for people under 18. While the vaccination is available to all people, McLeod County Public Health still is trying to focus on those priority groups. And right now, that is phase 1B, tier 2 and 3. So that's our manufacturing businesses, any food processing, food retail, service production, post office, and power companies. We are also working with agriculture, so farmers, anyone in an ag business, while we still continue to do our child care providers, any education providers we have missed, and then our 65 plus population as well. Last week we received 500 doses of Moderna. This week we're expecting 300. Every week it's a little different. We put in a request and we get what we are allocated. We are still meeting our goals as far as getting vaccinations administered within 72 hours. The goal is 90%. We're at 100%, so we're doing really well there. Just some statistics that I thought you guys would be interested in. So of our 16 plus population in McLeod County, 40% have received at least one dose. 26% have completed the series. That's of 16 plus. 65 plus, 79% have received at least one dose, and 66% have completed the series. So we're making really good headway with our partners at the clinics and hospitals as far as vaccinating, and we'll continue to do what we're doing. Any questions?
Just one I have, Barrett, is the demand still outseeding the amount of doses, or is it about average, or how is that working out for you?
That's a great question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We were able to accommodate the people that are interested. Last week, we were able to pull some extra doses from the vials, and so we have a pretty robust waiting list of people that we're able to call and come in. So we're able to meet the demand right now. We've actually opened it up to a wait list for all county employees. So if they're interested, they can be put on this wait list, and if we have available slots, that they would be offered a vaccine as well.
Is there any chance of you getting the Johnson? Because I know I get a couple of calls that people are waiting for that, or wondering if they're going to get the single dose.
Yeah, I think that we will get some of the Johnson & Johnson at some point, and then we have talked about what population will do at that time. We've talked about maybe going to the jail and vaccinating people then, so we don't have to go back with another dose. Maybe some of our migrant workers. We're making plans, but we don't have any definite decision on if we will get the one dose vaccine.
And my last question is that there's rumors, or talking to my grandkids and what, there's an uptick in the young people of the virus. Is that a fact, or?
Yeah, there is. Just with the numbers that I've reported, we seem to be creeping up a little bit more each week, and it is more of the younger population that seems to be getting exposed and testing positive.
Okay. Board, any other questions for Barrett? Thank you, Barrett.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did get a message from Kevin. He had nothing for COVID this morning. Thanks. Sheila?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So for our COVID-19 update from administration, we continue to work on the American Rescue Plan funds. We've been working with Matt Hilgert at the Association of Minnesota Counties. On Friday, we sat in a call with correspondents from the White House that was focused just on Minnesota and those American Rescue Plan funds. And we did ask for an update on when those funds would plan to be received. They did not give us one, so it just makes me think maybe there's a little uncertainty with disbursement dates. However, counties have until the end of 2024 to use and apply those funds, and we are not rushing because they haven't given clear enough guidelines of how to use those funds. So Matt Hilgert, again, he plans to meet with us after April 9th, either as a budget committee and or a county board. He would like to meet with us when he has more information. However, the vague guidelines that we mentioned at the beginning are still what stands today, and we don't have a lot of very specific direction on what all of those funds are available to use for. So like last time with the coronavirus relief funds, we want to make sure that they don't change course midway through having those funds from the county, and then there are additional things added which we weren't able to consider. Any questions about that?
I have questions, but you've covered, I mean, there's so much blue sky that I can't tell either what people call and ask the same questions, and I tell them what you say, or what you've said.
It's a bit frustrating right now, I think, just waiting. However, all of the counties that I've spoken to are in the same planning stage that we are. So we stay in good contact with our other counties. We have a good association. That's very helpful, and we have support from that association and from our colleagues in other counties. So we're thankfully on track, and hopefully we just want to be able to get more information so we can get the information out to the public, but however, we don't have that right now. The $6.9 million will still come to McLeod County. The other cities and townships in McLeod County that are eligible will receive their funds, and so that there's a calculation for that disbursement as well. And we also met with the cities, I think about a week and a half ago, and went over just who is getting what, and we're staying in contact with them as well. We meet with the city administrators once every other month.
And that is, I'm glad you mentioned that, Sheila, that is one of the bigger questions is do the county, they know about the 7 million or 6.9 million for the county, but do the cities and the townships get their own over the top of that 6.9?
Those that are eligible do, yes.
And the other question is uses. Does it have to be COVID-related uses, or do you have to figure out how that it had to affect the use of the money would have to be related to the effect of COVID?
I'm not really comfortable commenting on that. Like I said, it's very vague right now, but yes, of course it's COVID related, but how? I mean, you really can almost justify that anything right now could be COVID related. So we want really clear guidance before we make recommendations to the board. And right now that guidance isn't clear enough for us to move forward. But however, we do not have the funds yet, so we're not holding them back. We would like to be planning more than we are right now.
Thank you for clearing that up, because I do the same thing. I kind of, I don't have an answer for that, and I don't know that there is one, so thank you.
So we continue to sit on the web conferences every week. Anything that's available for more education about those dollars is important right now. That's our focus. And then Commissioner Wright, did you?
Yeah, I'll just make a comment. This is basically the third time that a pot of money has landed in the county's hands to distribute. And the other two had a very tight time window on them, and this one much longer. So there's a lot of wisdom in just sitting and waiting and watching some of the other pieces come together, because our experience has been that within the first few weeks or first month that all of a sudden things start to change. And so it's just the best thing for us to do is to just wait and watch a little bit. We do have a longer time window for this program to go through. So
That reminds me of the one piece of information that might be important for the public is that we were told that you cannot transfer these funds to schools, cities, townships, and they can't transfer them to us like we could with the last round of funds. So that is a pretty important piece, because we're going off the guidance of what we had last time and kind of expecting the same things, and that part has changed greatly. So the schools are getting their own funds, and from my understanding, they have to use theirs by the end of this calendar year, which is a huge stress, unless it's 2022. So I would have to look that up. But I know that they have a shorter timeline than what the counties do to use their dollars, and that there's some concern that the schools are getting amounts of money right now that will help them support current needs, but what happens on an ongoing basis. So there's just so many unanswered questions, and we'll bring a better summary to you when we have it. Any questions?
Don't hear any, Sheila. Thank you.
Thank you.
The jail, Captain Feltman. Good morning, Will.
Good morning. I'm back here today. I'll follow up on our last little closed workshop meeting part about the jail cameras. We got some proposals and are looking to move forward with replacing. I have 3 separate parts, which I believe can be hopefully all handled in one motion. But the first is to consider approval of proposal from UHL Company to convert the current jail camera system to Panasonic Video Insight video management software for a cost of $12,174. That's the software, the brains, or the operating system. Our current system is failing. We had some issues where we weren't able to retrieve video, so this will hopefully replace that. It also gets us on board with the current county video system as well, so it's all the same. Hope to incorporate math a little bit to be able to help us with the jail system as well. The second part is consider approval of proposal from UHL Company to upgrade, replace, repair cameras with audio in high use areas of the jail for a cost of $17,226. These are some cameras that were identified as they need to be improved to get the best footage available. Some of the sound is right next to air vents, so you can't hear it. So that would rectify that. And the third thing is to consider approval of proposal from Exigent to provide storage for a camera system data for a cost of $30,561.42. And that's the actual storage to allow proper retention for what we need. So the total cost is there's $59,961.42.
You just want to comment a little on the other bid that you did receive that was higher? Or?
So we did receive another bid from our current vendor that was $64,752. By going with the first bid also, like I said, we can incorporate the current county system and also bring Matt and the sheriff's office IT personnel on board to help assist with our current product. Right now we have to outsource everything, so we're not able to fix or resolve anything in-house, and switching to this new one, hopefully we can do a little bit more of that in-house.
Mr. Young, can that be taken as one motion?
Sure.
And this, Will, is a requirement. I mean, it's not like it's a convenience, it's a requirement. I mean, there's some things we didn't talk about, but I mean, you get audited and you need to show things that your old cameras weren't the best in getting done, is that right?
Right, the Department of Corrections does require us to review certain things, and the old camera system wasn't allowing us to review them, so this should hopefully solve all those issues.
Board, your wishes?
Mr. Chair, I believe what Will is stating is a reflection of the times we live in today and how important surveillance is, in the jail. So with that in mind, I will move approval of the request.
Motion made by Commissioner Smalls. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Nagel. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Environmental Services, Mark.
Good morning, gentlemen. One item in front of you this morning, we do have a preliminary plat, 21-03, made by Lee and Linda Hoof to separate an 11-acre lot, which is riparian to Silver Lake, into two buildable lots. This property is located in the northeast quarter of the northwest quarter, Section 4 of Rich Valley Township. The Rich Valley Township Board unanimously recommended approval at their March 10th, 2021 meeting, and the McLeod County Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval at their March 24th, 2021 meeting. The reason this is in front of you today is there were some members in attendance at the meeting that had some concerns with drainage. This lot will be separated into two lots, east to west, and there's a wetland that separates these two lots, which will have a dedicated easement on that for drainage and utility purposes. So I do believe that the concerns were alleviated at the Planning Commission, but if the members wanted to have discussion here, we did put this on regular agenda. Mr. and Mrs. Hoof are present. The secondary item that was of concern was 187th Street. And I have spoken to John Moore with Rich Valley Town Board. They do maintain that, so they do use public tax dollars to maintain that. So it is a viable public route of travel. So with that, I'll turn it back to the board. If there's questions for me, I'd be happy to answer.
The only thing I see is that includes the septic system, and is there, I mean, there's area on there to do a proper septic. I'm sure you've went through that.
Yeah, so with the preliminary plat through our subdivision ordinance, that is a requirement to the applicant at that time. They do have to do borings to validate that there is a site and an alternate site available on each lot for a standard septic.
That's the only question I have, Board. Do you have any questions for Mark? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve, Mr. Chair.
Motion made by Commissioner Smalls. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Darrell. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works, John.
Good morning.
Morning.
First item, I'm happy to report that we've been through the process for our Park and Rec manager, hunt and so forth, and I'm pleased to announce that John Kerrigan is our Parks and Recreation manager, and he is with me today. He started yesterday, so a couple words, I think, if you want.
Sure, go ahead.
Good morning. Want to say that everybody to this point has been extremely welcoming to me. Yesterday was my first day, and smiles on everybody's face and mine as well. I really look forward to this opportunity. It's something since I applied for it, I have been thinking about pretty much nonstop during my waking hours, and I really am in a hurry to get going on some things. Got into the office yesterday in the afternoon for a little bit, pulled open a drawer, and quickly realized I've got a lot of work to do before I start working. So there's a lot of stuff I have to go through in the office. But with the way the structure has been redone with the flow chart with the county and whatever, there's a lot of moving pieces right now. We'll get them all settled in here and go forward.
Thank you.
And
Welcome.
thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
By the way, they're all nice on the first two days. It's the third day that gets tough.
It's funny, they told me I walked in the office this morning, he came back for day 2. I'm surprised.
I do have a question for you. Your voice sounds vaguely familiar.
I don't know why that would be. No, formerly of KDUZ, KARP, KGLB Radio. Worked there for 20 years, and then the old CARP for 7 years before that, and then KDUZ before that for 7 years. So, yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Item B is to consider approval of our 21 to 25 highway and bridge construction plan. As you know, we do this every year. Go through our plan. This is the one we covered at the workshop a little bit, but I'll certainly walk through some of the highlights of the plan. 2021, our major projects are a concrete overlays on County Road 2 from Sibley County up to Highway 212. And concrete overlay on County Road 15, just north of Glencoe from 16th Street up to County Road 3. And another overlay on County Road 3 from Trunk Highway 15 over to County Road 75 or Nature Avenue. In addition to 21, you will see this in every year, but we have our annual seal coat marking program and pavement marking program. Also in 2021, we do have federal highway safety improvement program money. Our HSIP, it's called for 6-inch pavement marking, and that's countywide on various roads. 2022, what we're planning on is a concrete overlay on County Road 1 from Sibley County up to County Road 3. That project, we have secured federal funds for that, 80% of that portion of the job. And then addition to that portion, or that project, I should say, we're tying on County Road 1 from County Road 3 up to County Road 22. So it'll be 11-mile concrete overlay project next summer. That'll be the bulk of it, the big project. We're looking at bridge deck overlays, a couple of bridges, one on County Road 71 by the landfill, and then a bridge on County Road 9 north of 2 miles north of 212 over Buffalo Creek. So a bridge deck overlay. The deck's getting some deterioration and some spalling and cracking, and then they grind off the surface and put a new deck surface on that. In addition to that, we're looking at some trail rehabilitation on two paved walking trails in Glencoe, one on County Road 15 or Morningside. This is the portion south of 212, and then that trail ties into a trail we built years back on County Road 33 along the golf course on the south side of that. Glencoe reached out to us a couple years ago with the condition of those, and they are pretty poor. Initially, we built those with our joint projects back in the day, and they're certainly due for some rehab work. So we've worked with Glencoe on partnering on that. They're going to do the design and administering the construction of that if we throw in some money toward the construction of it. Some bridge deck maintenance we have identified also in 2022 to seal some bridge cracks, keep the moisture out, and just to extend the life of a lot of our bridges. Coma Township, they've had a deficient bridge now for a couple years. That project has been underway with design, and we're hopeful in '22 that we will receive town bridge money for that replacement project on that one. Again, we have pavement marking and seal coat projects identified in '22, as well as another round of some federal Highway Safety Improvement Program money for more 6-inch pavement marking. 2023, we have at County Road 1 and Trunk Highway 7, MnDOT and McLeod County, we received some HSIP money, more of that Highway Safety Improvement funding for a roundabout at that's near the Shadowbrook Golf Course, County Road 1 and Trunk Highway 7. That intersection is certainly tripped for some higher crashes, and so a roundabout is warranted at that location, and money has been secured for 2023. County Road 115, or Airport Road around south end of Hutch. That job, if you recall, was initially planned for this summer. And then along with that project, it would go through the Jefferson intersection or County Road 25. That has been identified as a roundabout. We've had a number of crashes there, and roundabout seems to be the feasible option there. So we've pushed that project back from this summer. We're hoping to receive federal funds in '23 for that roundabout money, highway safety improvement money for that roundabout. If we can get it sooner than that, we can possibly roll that project up to 2022. But right now, we're hopeful in '23 we'll be able to have that. In addition, on that road, County Road 115, we'd like to do some concrete pavement repair from Trunk Highway 7 down to County Road 7, or the start of the other project that was previously mentioned. County Road 5 in the Winstead area between County Road 1 and 9. That's their new County Road 5 extension project, new alignment between County Road 1 and County Road 9. We've been working and partnering with the city of Winstead. We've had a number of open houses and some preliminary designs, and we're moving forward with a final design to get that project on the shelf. Hopeful for some local road improvement program money. We've been successful in McLeod and a number of our cities over the years that have received LRIP funding for different jobs, and we're hopeful that job will get some LRIP money. If we can't get LRIP funding for that, we're prepared to move forward with our other traditional funding to cover that. I know the city is anxious for that. It's a number of economic development potentials for that area, so it's important to get it going. More pavement marking, ground and wet reflective edge lines we're looking at on County Road 1, County Road 2, and County Road 115. That is more of that federal safety funds, HSIP funds, for previously mentioned projects that will be done, and we'll put ground in wet reflective edge lines on those jobs. What the ground in wet reflective is, it's the edge of the pavement marking edge line, but they diamond grind it down a ways, and it's a higher build product that goes in the pavement groove, and helps prevent damage from snowplows and so forth. Makes the pavement more durable, pavement markings more durable and last longer. 2024, looking at a roundabout on County Road 15 or Morningside and 212. Again, partnering with MnDOT, they've received some state money, special money for freight for that corridor, along with we have some HSIP of that safety money I've previously mentioned for a roundabout at Morningside in 2024. Also looking at 24, our bridge east of County Road 74 over the Buffalo Creek. That's a old timber bridge that's been deemed deficient and in need of replacement. And so we're hopeful that we can get bridge bond funds in 2024 to get that done. The bridge bond funds are not always a given at the state, and right now I want to say there's probably $50 or $60 million worth of projects on the shelf waiting for bond money for bridges all across the state. So that's one of those that's important. The legislature's we've been fortunate over the years where we've received bond funds, but it's not always a given. So we have to stay vigilant with our representatives and senators to keep that money, in that pot. More federal safety funds for ground and wet reflective edge lines and rumble stripes on County Road 315 and 115. Again, those projects previously mentioned in the earlier 5-year plan. And then more seal coat and pavement marking. We also identify, you'll see in the plan, and every year we identify some unfunded, county-funded rehabilitation projects that will come up time to time if we look at some overlay projects or some smaller maintenance projects that can fit in there. You know, as we get in, I'll say, as we get it to the end toward the end of the 5-year plan, the front end of it's typically pretty set in stone, and then the back end is kind of moves around a little bit depending on funding and depending how things go. So. And to wrap it up, in 25, we're looking at a concrete overlay on County Road 1 from Trunk Highway 7 up to Wright County. Wright County contacted us, and their portion of that job is they're looking at doing that as well that year. So we're probably looking at partnering with Wright County and tying a larger project together to get a lot of scale of economy savings for a bigger project. And last, for 25, for the bigger jobs, we're looking at County Road 13, looking at a rehabilitation project on 13 from 212 up to, or I should say from Sibley County up to the 212. Looking at potentially a pavement reclamation project and overlay or similar to that. Later on in the plan, a couple more bridges that are deficient that, again, depending if we can get the bond funds for this, it might be aggressive to have 2 in 2025. We'll just have to see how that fund is doing with the state at that time. But one is on County Road 57, north of County Road 17, over the Highland Creek, and then a similar one pretty close to there on County Road 13, about a mile north of 17 on Highland Creek. Both of those bridges, again, are deficient, similar to County Road 74, and hopefully we can get funds to improve those. And then to wrap it up for the 25 would be just more to be determined pavement rehabilitation projects and pavement marking and seal coating. And that pretty much wraps up the 21 through 25 plan.
Quite a list, John.
Quite a list, yeah.
Did I miss it, or did you talk about the J-turn on County Road 1? I know that's a state project, but...
Yeah, I didn't mention that because we don't have any county money in it, but that is in 2022, the J-turns at Chandler Avenue and also at County Road 1 and 212.
Both going on 22?
Both going in the same year, yeah. And again, that's all state funded.
So, I mean, for anyone listening, I hope you pay attention to what John's done to find outside money. I do appreciate that. I mean, he works those programs pretty hard in talking to him, so I'd just like to compliment him on that. And is all this posted on your website?
Yeah, we'll have the website updated with the 5-year plan. I'll put a post out on our social media too when you guys approve this, so people can certainly get access to this whole packet.
Any more questions for John, board?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the 5-year plan.
Motion's been made
I got a
by
question on the floor.
Commissioner Nagel to accept the 5-year plan. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. You had a question?
Yes, John, if I could, with County Road 13, the rehabilitation project that you're listing, is that going to be upgrading the frontage for that road also, or what do you anticipate taking place?
Yeah, typically when we do a rehab or a larger project, we'll bring it up to 10-ton standards.
Mr. Chair, so the public can hear what you're asking, can you please go to the podium? Thank you.
This is Donald Albrecht from Penn Township. And the other question, John, is are you looking at doing anything with the shoulders and so forth, or the township roads that are coming up to 13, whether there's going to be anything needs to be done with culverts and so on in the township roads?
Yeah, typically on the rehabilitation projects, we don't do the shoulder widening. I mean, it's something we could look at, but most likely it'll just be the pavement surface that we're addressing. And as far as the culverts on the township roads, if there's deficiencies in them now, we'd look at those and clean them, but typically that's not part of the scope when we look at a smaller rehabilitation project. Now, if the board wants to look at that road as far as, you know, a shoulder widening or a reconstruction project, you know, it's in the outer years, and we can revisit that. Right now, the pavement condition it's not, I will say terrible, you know, 2025, it's 4 years out, so we'll look at it before that again, but something we can consider, I guess.
Is there, I mean, I remember vaguely on County Road 2, which I live on, there was a project, it was kind of mandated to get funds that time to make it safer, if I remember right. I mean, there's something to that, or was that all out of county pocket?
It's not ringing a bell.
Okay.
County Road 2.
I remember when they changed the honor, you know, he's asking about the roads coming on, they put in them longer, for impact on side roads.
Yeah, there's side slope standards when we look at some reconstruction, but it's when we look at rehabilitation standards, it's a lot different for state aid.
All right. Any questions? Any more discussion from the board? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of, no, or did we approve? No, we did not. All in favor of the 5-year plan, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item B is, so the 3 projects I mentioned for this year, the county concrete overlays on County Road 3, 2, and 15. We did receive bids on Friday for those. Those were handed around. And so state aid project, SAP 4360231, that's the County Road 2 project from Sibley up to 212. Actually, it goes to 10th Street, the full project. County Road 3 from Trunk Highway 15 over to County Road 75, and then again from County Road 15 from 16th Street up to County Road 3. We tied those 3 concrete overlay projects together. We received 3 bids on that. The low bid was Schaefer Contracting out of Schaefer, Minnesota, with the bid of $5,704,661.15. And we had a bid from Kroll Incorporated out of New Hampton, Iowa. Their bid was $5,721,204.7. And our last bid was from PCI Roads out of St. Michael, and their bid was $6,309,695.47. The low bid was about a 1.5% under our engineer's estimate, so we feel it's a good bid. We've looked through the bid abstract and the unit prices and everything, and we don't think there's any surprises, so we recommend award to Schaefer Contracting. We have used Schaefer over the years on, I want to say, 2 for sure, 2 other concrete overlay projects. They're a good contractor, they do good work, and I don't see any reason not to award it.
Just a clarification now that I just noticed, now it's coming all the way to 10th Street, so what about the in-town part and over the bridge part? That
Yeah,
all
so
just gets.
so the concrete overlay will just be from Sibley County up to the bridge. And then north of the bridge, we're just going to mill off 2 inches and put bituminous back and match into what the city and or MnDOT are doing on that piece.
Sounds good. Just a clarification, thank you. Board, any more questions for John before we try to approve it?
Mr. Chair, I'll move to accept the bid from Schaefer Contracting.
Motion has been made to accept the bid from Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smalls. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
All right, thank you.
I think you go right into public hearing.
Yeah, so public hearing for our, so the public hearing is for our McLeod's County ADA, or Americans with Disability Act Transition Plan for Public Right-of-Way. It's a document that'll detail how we transition from non-compliant pedestrian sidewalks to becoming compliant with ADA, or again, Americans with Disability Acts. The public right-of-way access guidelines are PROWEG. You'll hear that out if you've cruised through that plan and looked through it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. You need to make a motion to open the public hearing, Mike?
Go ahead and finish explaining, and then we'll open it up.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, so these ADA plans, MnDOT has required these with all counties. They require the counties to have ADA plans. ADA transition plans, I should say, in order to be eligible for future federal funding on our urban projects. So if we don't have these plans, this plan in place, we won't get federal funding on urban projects on future stuff. And if there's any questions from here, I'm going to turn it over to Dan Swanson, my assistant. He's spent a lot of time working on the plan.
First, we'll open the hearing. Is there a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Nagel.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Luthens. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of opening the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There we go.
I don't know how in depth you guys want to get, but it's
No
up-
more
it's-
than we need to.
Yeah, I mean, we reviewed it at a workshop. We've had it out for some public comment and stuff, and like other counties we hear from, there isn't many participants that come to the meeting for these, so it's kind of more of a formality, but
Guidance from Mr.
Dan's here
Young,
for all the
too.
hard
What
questions,
do we
so-
need to do?
Give it the 10,000-foot overview.
okay. Dan, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, as John mentioned, that this is required of all counties to receive federal funds on, and so we looked at what other counties were doing who had theirs approved and took from theirs, and the general policy is whenever we have a major urban reconstruct that we will get after the pedestrian ramps leading up to the street at that time, and also other places where it's feasible, like if we already got a construction project coming through a town at that point, we'd then address the ramps, even if it's not a full reconstruct. We've got, about 300, little under 300 pedestrian ramps in the county, and about 90 of them are compliant. So it's going to be a long-term thing, and that's what the policy is for, just kind of putting it on the books on how we will address these. With that, we also have a grievance form that we're required to have, and that's for any person to submit a grievance over a specific intersection corner, or a pedestrian ramp, or piece of sidewalk or something, and that would just get reviewed as we look at potentially upgrading, whether it be a standalone ADA project, which is probably unlikely, or when we're in the neighborhood with a bigger construction project, I guess. So this document, I believe you guys have all had a chance to read it, look over it. It also includes an inventory. It lists line by line each pedestrian ramp we do have in the county and the location of it. So,
Could you define long-term project? I mean, what do you think? Once we approve this, it starts the wheels, and how long before? I mean,
right, yeah. So I guess it would just depend on how long it is between when we have projects in the area. On our streets, that's kind of the long-range plan. We can't make all of these compliant today, because that would be, very costly to us or whatever. So that's kind of what I mean by
2 years, 5 years, 10 years? I mean, an idea.
Yeah, I'll just say, as we come across projects, then we can address them. We don't have there's not a deadline or a sunset or a window that we have to get certain pedestrian ramps done within a certain time period. So when we look at County Road 1 through Winstead in 2025, if there's some ramps that aren't compliant, we'll probably address them with that project. But we're not going to go out and do a standalone project in Plato, because there's a couple ramps that are out of compliance. We'll address those when we come through there with the future rehabilitation project or something.
I kind of understand that, but there's none. You're not saying there's any deficient anywhere that need immediate attention. They're just a little bit out of compliance.
Well, what this is basically putting the wider aprons on, truncated domes on, flatter. So, I mean, there's a number. I mean, Dan said I think there's 300 we counted or whatever.
That's the number.
Yeah, so it's the ones that, don't have might not even have a ramp on them or nothing, right? You have just a curb stop and you got to step up, and of course that's not compliant for ADA. So when there's a project feasible in the area, that's when we'll address them. That's what the policy says, and that's acceptable to MnDOT. We don't have to get after these by a certain deadline to be, compliant for MnDOT money and so forth.
Yeah, and then just to add to that, there's no degree of non-compliance. The ADA office and everyone, they see it as either compliant or not. It's a pass or a fail.
Okay.
So, if I had to say it, then I would say the 200 plus are non-compliant
Sure.
to different levels of degrees, but they're just concerned that we make everything compliant or have a plan going forward for it, so.
I'll just add, that maybe to wrap it up, that we're no different than any other county, I don't think, as far as if people are hearing non-compliant sidewalks, I mean, there's thousands of them around the whole state, so.
Well, we didn't really leave them go deficient. They changed the ruling on how to set them, so I kind of understand it, and it is a public hearing, so is there anyone that has any questions for John? Board, do you have any questions? I'd just like to emphasize that the rules changed. It wasn't, and that's why I asked about the deficient ones, if there was some that had not been completed or. All right, then I'd entertain a motion to adopt Americans for Disability Transportation Plan for public right-of-way.
Move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Luthens. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Building maintenance, Scott or Sheila, are you taking that?
Good morning. I have Scott Grivna on the telephone and speakerphone for if we have questions for him, but he can't be here today. Item A, consider approval of proposal from Foster Mechanical of Hutchinson, Minnesota to replace existing boilers at the McLeod County Courthouse for a total cost of $174,200 with funds from the designated for capital assets budget. As we've discussed, the existing boilers are from 1982. They're costly to maintain. Many of the components are obsolete as well. Additional pricing was received from Schwickert's of Mankato for a cost of $230,325. I think that the majority of the board, and we have discussed it in workshop, is aware that a lot of our staff time from our maintenance team is being used at the courthouse. We have calls almost every weekend. I know Scott's team was working on it over the past weekend. They're in disrepair. So we're at a point where we need to do some replacement.
And we had planned on doing this next year.
Correct.
And we're bumping it up.
And I've talked
Because
with,
we're bumping it up because, of the maintenance costs are
Thank you.
keep going up and up, correct?
It's true.
I've
It is
actually
true.
looked at them, and I've talked with Scott, and there's nothing, I have a limited experience with boilers, and there's nothing worse than when you got to worry about your heartbeat stopping on the boilers, because that's everything to a building.
Correct. When I was officed at the courthouse, if Scott was on another assignment, I mean, oftentimes I was letting in Foster Mechanical or other providers of service to go into those rooms. It just is a lot of disrepair over the past few years, and like Commissioner Nagel said, this was planned for next year, but has unfortunately had to move up. Thank you.
There's an efficiency. I don't have the figures, and I don't know if Scott figured it out, but there is an efficiency to the new boilers as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the request.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve. Is there a second?
Second that.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any more discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'll just add, just the cost of owning buildings and a good reminder as to why a couple of years ago we went down the road of reducing the number of buildings that we want to take care of. So.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is related. Item B, consider approval of contract with Environmental Plant Services, Inc., St. Paul, Minnesota for asbestos abatement in the McLeod County Courthouse boiler room for a cost of $6,480 with funds from the designated for capital assets budget. This process is required to be done along with the boiler replacement.
Board, any questions on this part of it? Necessary evil, because the pipes are wrapped with asbestos.
Mr. Chair, move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Smalls. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Luthens. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote on the asbestos abatement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item C, consider approval of proposal from Foster Mechanical, Hutchinson, Minnesota, to purge, clean, and replace the glycol system at the McLeod County Courthouse for a cost not to exceed $28,400 with funds from the designated for capital assets budget. This work is needed in conjunction with the chiller replacement that is being completed. The glycol system is contaminated and needs replacement.
Again, limited experience with that. I would just comment that I've been involved with changing glycol. It does get contaminated, it grows bacteria, it grows acidic and wrecks the lines, so.
It's an unavoidable part of this process
correct.
of having it, so, thank you.
Any more questions from the board? If not, I'd enter entertainment to approve, or a motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Nagel. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we proceed to vote. All in favor of doing the glycol replacement, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item D, consider awarding lawn care contract to New Earth Landscaping of Glencoe, Minnesota for 2021-22 for an estimated cost of $10,525 with funds from the courthouse building, government center building, and environmental services building budgets. Cost estimates are based on an average season of 25 mowings per property. Additional proposals were received from Andy's Lawn and Snow LLC, Lester Prairie, Minnesota, and Honeydew in Glencoe, Minnesota.
Pretty much self-explanatory. Any questions for Sheila from the board? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I so move.
Motion made by Commissioner Luthens to approve New Barth Landscaping from Glencoe. Is there a second?
Second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving New Barth's contract, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can we move to employee relations until the county attorney is able?
Sure.
He had to step out for a call.
Very good.
And
Employee
then-
relations.
Thank you.
He's back.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Or do you want a minute? Okay.
You want me to go up there or here or where?
You got a mic, so I'm not you're fine where you are for my part.
Okay, we have three items. The first of which is considering to appoint Kieran Blake to the temporary full-time position of Assistant McLeod County Attorney. He'll be starting on the 21st of April. He's currently a law clerk for a district court judge up in Mille Lacs County, I believe it is. And under statute, I appoint subject to your consent, much like the sheriff appoints the chief deputy subject to your consent.
Move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Luthens. Any more discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor of the appointment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The second item is consider approval of a quitclaim deed, and by which McLeod County is going to be conveying to Cynthia Ann Retzloff Trust a vendor's interest in a contract for deed. This is in the collection of a medical assistance lien. So what happened is that the person was on medical assistance, the person then died. Prior to dying, the person had conveyed the property to another person on a contract for deed. It didn't get caught while they were administering the estate, and about 2 years after the estate was administered, they figured out, oh, the decedent had additional property. This is about $16,000 that we are making a claim and we'll collect, and then we'll submit it. We end up keeping about a fourth of it. Some goes back to the Fed, some goes back to the state. This is a collection of a contract for deed. We never owned the property. We never wanted to own the property. We got it through an estate. So I would recommend that you approve, and then I will have the board chair and the board clerk sign it, and I'll notarize their signatures, and that'll complete the collection process.
I feel I understand. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve, Mr. Chair.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Smalls. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Luthens to approve the quitclaim deed administered by Mr. Young. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the final matter is that after our joint ditch hearing, I believe it was last Tuesday, wasn't it? Or was it Wednesday? One of those.
Which one?
The very following day,
There's a lot of them this week.
the very following day, the tax court issued their opinion on the joint ditch 17 and joint ditch 18 with Sibley County. What had happened there is that, and I think there were 8 or 9 petitioners who were on ditch 17. Some of them were also on ditch 18. They filed an appeal of the assessment portion of their 2019 taxes payable, and they were assessed because County Ditch 17 was assessed an outlet fee from County Ditch 18. The district court, or excuse me, the tax court then referred the matter to the district court for determination of the validity of the process. The district court found that the Joint Ditch Authority failed to obtain jurisdiction over the petitioners because they did not make a finding that the current values were not accurately reflecting the values that they had for ditch assessments, benefits, and damages. Prior to ordering a redetermination of benefits, you have to make that finding. The Ditch Authority didn't make that finding. So the district court found that the process was improper. Then it got sent back to the tax court, and the tax court found that because of what the district court found, that the Joint Ditch Authority had never gained jurisdiction over these petitioners. So at your hearing last week, you agreed to refund all of the assessments on Joint Ditch 17. So that took care of a part of it. The only additional thing that you're going to have to do with regard to that is to pay interest of 4% from the time of the payment. But because the petitioner, some of the petitioners also own land on Joint Ditch 18, the inadequacy of your findings in the redetermination process means that you didn't obtain jurisdiction over them on 18 as well. So their assessment for 2019 also has to be refunded with interest. So that just relates to the 2019 year. You recall that with 17, what you agreed to do was to refund 18, 19, and 20. So I'm sure that's clear as mud. This is an order. We will have to implement it. It's a complicated process, but it resolves about 6 or 7 cases, 8 or 9 tax appeals. We all learned a lesson from it, and hopefully we got it right through this most recent redetermination of benefits. If you want a copy of the tax court order, I'd be happy to get you one. I've given one to Commissioner Kruger and one to Commissioner Wright, since it affects their districts the most. Any questions? Thank you.
On board, do you have any questions for Mike?
Just a question, Mr. Chair and Attorney. I suppose we're not talking about large sums of money here, if you're just talking those few landowners as far as the refund.
168,000, I think, is what it was, right?
That's not the amount of their assessment. The amount of their assessments were somewhere in the area of 20 or 30,000 on Joint Ditch 17 that had to be refunded. So, and there's going to be a little bit more because some of those petitioners also own land on Joint Ditch 18.
Did we set any precedences?
Well, Yeah, we did. We set a precedence that we really ought to make a complete finding prior to doing a redetermination of benefits. And if you recall, Joint Ditch 18 is the one that is run through Sibley County, so it's their auditor and their attorney that are advising the Joint Ditch Authority. And that's because the majority of Joint Ditch 18 is in Sibley County. So there are 3 Sibley County commissioners, 2 McLeod. On Joint Ditch 17, it's the opposite. So McLeod has the majority of the land. It's administered out of McLeod County, and I represent that board.
Any more questions from the board? No. My only comment would be it's just so important for landowners to participate.
Yeah.
When they hear it, and it's difficult. And I'd entertain a motion for, do we need?
No, you don't need to do anything. I just need to inform you of it.
All right. On to employee relations. Anna? Thank you, Mike.
Good morning. We just have one item today. Item A, consider approval of the agreement between Southwest West Central Service Cooperative, or SWWC, Wellness Institute in McLeod County to operate the participant-based wellness program offered by the Wellness Institute in 2021. The current program is designed to improve well-being and control healthcare costs by encouraging participation in activities and create an awareness of current well-being status. The Wellbeing Institute will provide a $500 incentive for each employee who participates in an on-site biometric screening and participates in at least 2 participation-based activities offered by us as the employer. No individual is required to perform or complete an activity related to a health factor in order to obtain a reward. However, in 2020, 110 McLeod County employees participated and qualified for the $500 wellness credit. $55,000 last year were awarded through SWWC, and these efforts are led by Carrie Ward, McLeod County Health Educator, and the McLeod County Wellness Committee.
Questions for Hannah?
Mr. Chair, it was discussed at our last well-being committee, and we looked at participating in the program and how we participated in the past, and it seemed like truly a worthy cause for the employees of our county, and with that, I will move to approve the request.
Motion made by Commissioner Smalls to approve the agreement. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Nagel. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the agreement between Southwest Central Services, SWWC, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
County Administration, calendars. Commissioner Luthens, Darrell.
Thank you, Commissioner. Wednesday, 17th, at training, AMC, done by Zoom, the 4-hour Zoom meeting. On the 23rd, we had a Health, McLeod County, Health and Human Services. 24th, planning and zoning meeting in Hutchinson. And on the 25th and Thursday, Trailblazer meeting in Glencoe. That was a Zoom meeting also. And then on Friday, we had a ditch meeting in Sibley County in Gaylord. Paul Wright was with me, Commissioner Wright. Then I think on Monday we had another ditch meeting on County Ditch 64. That was done in Glencoe here. That was it for the week. Thank you.
Mr. Wright.
Okay, well, you can tell it's construction season's coming around with the number of ditch meetings that we've all had. Our board workshop a few weeks ago, then on our highway workshop with the 5-year plan. 22nd, Ditch 63 meeting that was here. Then Health and Human Services Committee on the 23rd. On the 26th, Commissioner Luthen's mentioned our Ditch 24 meeting in Gaylord. And then also a couple days later, County Ditch number 64. That was here in our boardroom. We had a meeting with 80 Advantage, again wrapping up some of those moving pieces with our economic development plan. On the 31st, a few of us were down in Gaylord again for ditches 18, 17, 32, and 64. So just to bring up a little added meeting, of course we like to talk about those opportunities of collaboration. In our McLeod County Shooting Sports Program, our 4-H program, has been meeting all winter, and one of the projects that they need every year is wildlife hours on a wildlife project in order to participate in the state level competition in September. We're going to pair together with our McLeod County Soil and Water Conservation District in a wildlife restoration plan that is located east of Lake Marion. And so we were able to have Ryan Freitag, Colton and their crew present some of the pieces where our county 4-H program will be able to work with the design and some of the work that'll happen. This is going to be a great learning activity for the kids involved in the program, as well as perhaps a little bit of a legacy with those individuals. As years to come, they can look back and see what kind of a difference they were able to make in the wildlife restoration project, and potential that this acreage could be monitored annually with our youth program and some of the tree removal and so forth. So a lot of great things happening there, and it was nice to see how two programs that our county board has a lot to do with are able to work together to achieve a common goal. That's it for me.
Thank you, Commissioner Ed. As for myself, on this, we had our after board workshop on the 16th. Ditch 63 open hearing, a Ditch 18 and 17 meeting. I also had a Lower Minnesota One Watershed One Plan meeting, and in that meeting we're on the policy committee, or I'm on the policy committee. There's some data coming out that somewhat concerns me about what some of the regulations do to agriculture. I think we all recognize, well, I would hope that most of us recognize the problems from pollution and whatnot from the nature of agriculture, but I don't, my caution is just, and what I'm watching is not to put it all on the back of ag. There's other things going forward, and I think they will be resolved. There, it just, we need to keep people at the table. I just encourage so many people that are involved to stay informed on what One Watershed One Plan is doing. It actually, at the end of the day, it combines some watershed people, and hopefully to an advantage to get more money for projects to fix some of our issues. But again, just pay attention to what's going on. We had our on the 19th. We had our transportation 5-year plan meeting with John. He recapped that today, and again, I appreciate it. It's quite a plan, and I hope we can stand our course on that and improve McLeod County. We had a Trailblazer orientation on the 19th as well. On the 23rd, Health and Human Services Community Health Board meeting. On the 23rd as well, I had a Buffalo Creek Watershed Board meeting. Went through several permits and their issues, but I guess what I'd like to say today is that they're taking applications, or we are taking applications for an appointment from one of the presidents that are retiring. And I know we have an ad in the paper, and I actually have made a couple phone calls reminding people that we are taking applications. I guess I'd ask Sheila a quick question. All they gotta do is really call you. Is that right?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Kruger, I stepped into the other room. What are you asking?
The Board of Presidents for Buffalo Creek Watershed, the applications that were taken, I think you're notified that to call you if they're interested. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. Liz Danielson's been handling the timeline, and we're going over it at the workshop, so I don't want to give incorrect info. Do you want to comment?
I believe that the ad in the newspaper requested that they submit a letter of interest to
Okay.
the county administrator.
I just want to, it's a little vague, and I just want to remind people that and Commissioner Wright as well, and it's an important position. Our board has taken a stance to review the people that sit on these committees so they are, I don't want to say fit, but they qualify for what they're doing, and I think it's somewhat important. I guess it's just more of a notification. It's due by the 15th of April, so I believe that's next week. I had an HRA board meeting. Again, some mostly status quo on filling all the vacancies. We're real good on filling. Some have left and moved out of state. It's more than usual that I see coming and going, but we still, our HRA is looking real well. Minnesota, board meeting I had also on the 24th, Trailblazer board on the 25th. On the 29th, I asked our administrator to accompany me with a meeting with Carver County Commissioner and members of the Transportation Alliance to discuss some further activities on Highway 212. They're going to have a groundbreaking, I believe, in May. We're trying to work on some publicity between the two counties on the radio coming up here at the end of April or in the beginning of May. I also had Addy Advantage, our economic development. We went through some meetings with them. Another ditch meeting, 17, 18, 32, and 65. On the 31st, on the 4-1, I had another Lower Minnesota policy meeting. And yesterday, I was at the SWCD board meeting, again, trying to work through compromises with drainage. I mean, I think there's some, I think again, that's a group that are elected, and we have a joint powers with them, and I think that the more we can identify problems with this, the easier it is to try to resolve them. That brings me to today.
Doug, I felt busy, but I don't know. It sounds like you win. But,
it's all water almost. I just.
I'll be very brief. After the workshop a couple weeks ago, just had some emails, phone calls, whatever it took regarding some personnel issues and some things that have been happening around here that we'll address through different avenues. The Health and Human Services meeting, again, I was part of the marathon ditch meeting in Sibley County with 64, 17, I don't know, a lot of numbers. I don't even remember them all anymore. Southwest, West Central Cooperative meeting and some NACO phone calls. So that's it.
And Mr. Chair, since our last board meeting, like the rest of us, we did our workshop after our board meeting. And then that afternoon on the 16th of March, I had a well-being committee meeting that I participated in where we discussed about what we previously acted on at this meeting this morning. On Wednesday the 17th, AMC from 9 till noon. And in the afternoon of the 17th, we had our Ditch 63 hearing right here at the Government Center. Friday the 19th, we did our 5-year highway plan workshop in Hutchinson. And then the week of the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, I had Health and Human Services Committee by Zoom in the morning. And also that morning, participated in a action with mediation involving the county, myself, John Brunkhorst, and Attorney Young. And the week of the 29th, on a Monday, we did our County Ditch 64 hearing here at the Government Center. On Wednesday, the 31st, I had a United Community Action meeting by Zoom in the morning. And April 2nd, Friday, a Central Minnesota Jobs and Training meeting that I participated in by Zoom, which brings us to today. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioners Nagel and Schmaltz. Sheila, do you have something?
Yes, Mr. Chair. For the letters of interest for the Buffalo Creek Watershed Board Manager, please mail your letter of interest to McLeod County Administration Office. That is listed in the posting. Pretty clear to send it to 520 Chandler Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota, 55336. Letters must be received on or before April 15, 2021. So obviously, if you get close to that mailing date, you would want to drop it off here during our business hours between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Otherwise, thank you.
Thank you. I guess you can keep on going, Sheila. Again, while she's coming up, I just encourage I feel Buffalo Creek is an important appointment, and we have a good person coming off that's retiring, and I would really like to have some candidates that we could really look through to keep up what they're doing. So thank you. Go ahead, Sheila.
Item A, consider approval of quote from Carlson McCain of Blaine, Minnesota for $3,800 to complete Phase 1 environmental site assessments for county-owned property located at 2391 Hennepin Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota, and 1805 Ford Avenue North in Glencoe, using funds from the county-wide budget. The Phase 1 environmental site assessments will be conducted in June 2021 and would be valid for 6 months. That is why we would conduct them in June with the listing, so hopefully it comes up with the listing period or interested parties in those properties. The county did receive 2 additional quotes from Stan Tech Consulting Services. That one was $4,600, and from SEH in St. Paul for a total cost of $7,400.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Smalls. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the agreement with Carlson McCain, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Item B, consider approval of personal service contract with Fahey Sales Auctioneers and Appraisers of Glencoe, Minnesota to provide market analysis for county-owned property contained in the parcels to the west of our McLeod County Government Center for a cost of $500 and with funds from the countywide budget. Results of the market analysis will be considered in a closed meeting at a later date. Just so everyone understands, so what Fahey would be doing is looking at similar sales, comparative property sales, maybe listings, what's been going on in the area to help us consider a price for some of the parcels to the west of us, because as we've spoken about before, there is ongoing interest there, and we would like to know where they're at for market value right now.
Thank you, Sheila. Any questions for Sheila from the board?
I'll add one more thing in.
Go ahead.
Our county attorney, I talked to him last week about this, and he did note that we are not required to sell those properties through a real estate office. Not that we wouldn't, but we were just going through what all of our options are. So I just want to make sure that you know we do look at what all of our options are with the properties separately. Just because we have the 2 properties on Hennepin Avenue and Ford Avenue, through that process, which we do need that assistance, and it does make the most sense, we still will look at these separately and make a recommendation to the board based on what we find through that process.
And I've advocated, Sheila and I have had this conversation as well as I had with 1 or 2 board members. That's not our job. I mean, I don't know what it's worth. I mean, I'd like to say we've got administration that could get it sold, but I have no idea what it's worth, and I think it's well worth the investment to find that out. So any other questions from the board? For anybody that's not familiar, it's the lot right across the street here to the west where the machinery used to sit, and there's actually 2 houses on that property. there's so much to it today. I mean, there's obviously people looking.
Move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel. Is there a second?
Second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any more discussion?
Is that property all one parcel, the houses?
It is not.
And that's another reason to figure, in my opinion, to get the evaluation on how to handle it. But it is,
How many parcels is it?
I'm not sure. I sent the information to Fahey last week to see what it would cost to have a market analysis, and I don't have all the answers on that, and I know that we're going over some other real estate information in closed session, so I don't have a good answer for you. I'm sorry. I believe it may be 4. I'm not positive.
It's at least 2.
that's at least 2.
I was looking at the
Very
GIS
good.
mapping last week. Christy helped us out from John's office. They would be better to ask that information too, but he did send me a lot of information. We passed it all on to work on that.
And a true statement by a wise man said we're not in the rental business either. So, I mean,
Okay.
it's just something to get a starting point to what we are going to do with it. I mean, that was kind of I don't know if I'm going to call it a pledge, but our direction when we started all this to get as much of our property back on the tax rolls. So we're not, by doing this, we're not okaying anything other than figuring out where we start from and where we go. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of
Aye.
Mr. Fahey doing the now you messed me up. But doing the evaluation, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I think I'm done.
I know that's easy to do, but
Sheila, you have the notification of the workshop?
I usually don't.
Oh, sorry.
I'll stay, yeah, oh yeah, I'll stay up here for that after all of this other stuff. I didn't think I could do it though. Can I go ahead with that now instead of all the other items? Okay. The next county board meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. Item C, notification of board work. I thought you were looking at the bottom. I'm thrown off too now. Item C, notification of board workshop to be held following the board meeting on April 20, 2021, here at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota. That will be in person unless there is further notice. So, of course, that can change. Hopefully it doesn't, but keep an eye on our website if there are any updates.
thank you, Sheila.
The other stuff is all you,
We can
right?
laugh and smile once in a while.
Yeah.
It wouldn't hurt us any.
Once in a while. Thank you.
Thank you. Open forum. Any questions from the audience or press relations? Karen? Nothing from Karen?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
The next item on your agenda is a closed meeting. It's to discuss 2 items. One is to discuss the marketing of county-owned property. There is an issue that has arisen with regard to one of the parcels that may affect asking price or may affect the developing and consideration of offers and counter offers. And we are going to discuss that with Mr. Fahey and his team. That's one of the items. The second item is the mediated settlement agreement that Commissioner Schmalz was talking about. We are likely going to be taking action after the closed meeting with regard to that item, but not the first item.
Thank you.
So it would
Karen,
be
did you hear
appropriate.
that? Okay, very well.
So it would be appropriate to vote or to make a motion for a closed meeting and then vote on that.
Just before we do that, for anybody that leaves, the next meeting will be on April 20th at 9 a.m. Here on 520 Chandler Avenue. Having said that, now I would take a motion to close the meeting.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I'd like to say thank you to Liz on her spring newsletter.
All right. I as well. Thank you.
You just put it out yesterday?
I believe we put that out last Friday, but some people may just be getting them in the mail currently.
I read
It's
it this-
available on our county website under the administration tab. Thank
I
you.
read it this morning. Very well done.
You can also sign up for the mailing list if you do want to receive that in the mail. That is also available as an option on our county website under the administration tab as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Les. Motion
Chair,
to close the
I move to go into closed session.
motion made by Commissioner Nagel to close the session. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, please proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Go into closed session.